In today's session, today is the last session for dot programming, Amma. So whatever we discussed in the previous sessions, so you guys can able to follow those things and you can plan practice those programs so that it is very helpful for your Flutter. Okay. So in today's in dot programming, we are going to focus on mainly two topics. One will be exception handling. Okay. Okay. And second one will be collections. In collections, we are going to majorly focus on list, set, and map. Already we discussed set and map, but again, we'll go with these concept of collections kind of thing. So basically, what exactly exception handling is, why this exception handling came to the picture. Okay. Now, see, any program, it may be Java, it may be .NET or C or C++, any program, this exception handling is there. So the purpose of exception handling is, let's take an example. Let's take an example. You write one program. It contains 100 lines of program. Okay. You have to execute these 100 lines of program with successfully. You need to execute these 100 lines of program successfully, right? So in 33rd line, okay, you wrote some mistake in the program, in that particular line. You wrote some mistake in the particular line. If you wrote the mistake in 33rd line of program, what happened? If you run the application, happily 32 lines of code, whatever the code you wrote for 32 lines, right? That will be successfully executed. When the controller comes to 33rd line, when the controller comes to 33rd line, the compiler, the JIT, just-in-time compiler, found one issue in 33rd line. Okay. Automatically, what that will do, the JIT, what the JIT will do, automatically wherever in which line the program found that error, no, automatically program is going to terminate 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 that program. That means remaining 76 lines of code will not work, will not execute, right? So I am damn sure that this 77 lines of code will not have any kind of error. I by mistake I wrote in 33rd line. I agree with that. But after 34th to 100, okay, 34th to 100, I am damn sure that the program will never have any kind of issue. But by 33rd line, if any error happens, automatically my program is terminated. That means from 34th onwards, the program will not be executed. That is not the correct one, right? That is not the correct one. So in 33rd line, if any error happens, so what about I want to execute remaining also, right? But here the program is terminated. First, I want to show you practically how this is going to happen. Then we have to find out the solution for that. Now let's go back to the VS Code. So here we code some kind of thing, right? So let me remove it. Let me remove everything. I already shared that this all files, you can go through that. Okay. Now let's go to create one file. I can call it as exception demo dot. Okay, like this. So here I'm using void main. Okay, so here I'm going to write some kind of statements, right? What I can say, print. Okay, so I can say this is my statement one, right? Like this. So like this, I'm going to I'm going to uh, execute some set of statements. Like this is my statement two, statement three, statement four, statement five, six, seven, eight, nine, and 10. Okay, I'm executing 10 statements. In this the third statement, I'm going to execute, I'm going to write one logic. In the after third statement, I'm going to write one logic where a equals to 10, where b equals to 0, where c equals to a by b. A by b. Print the value of, sorry, print the value of c is, we can display the c value here, right? Now, see, 1 second, yeah. So now this is a program I wrote here, right? Now let's go to open the calculator, normal calculator in your laptop. Okay, so you can execute 10 by 0. Now you can see what is the output. It's not a number. That means there is some issue. There is some kind of error in this logic. There are some kind of error in this logic. Okay, so for that, what we should do? Okay, now see, for your point of view, I'm going to write like this also, like print the value of a is, we can print the value of a. Okay, and again copy this, we can print the value of b also. I want to show you where the program is terminated. Okay, like this. Now, if you run the application, so now you can clear it off everything, clear the console. Yeah, if you run the application, now you can see the output. See what happened. So see here, observe clearly here. See, automatically, that means that, see, this is executing. See, the print here is executing, but the problem with is what? Problem with this piece of code. Problem with this piece of code. No, if the problem is a piece of code, and what about remaining statements, Amma? This is not going to be executed, right? If you go to output, see, this is not going to be executed. Now, what I should do? I want to write 10 by 2. 10 by 2. I'm going to execute the same program here. It's correct only, right? Oh, sorry. You can put b here. The value of b, the value of c kind of thing. Now, if you run the application, now you can see ma statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, and all these, right? See, 10 by 2, what is the value ma? 5.0, right? It is working exactly. Now I'm doing what? 0. I'm putting 0 here. Now if you run the application, now clear it off. Now if you run the application, what happened? You will get an error here. Okay, you will get an error here. So that means 10 by 0. showing like this, right? There's 0, infinity, but it is executing here, right? See, it is executing here. It's not going to be executed from the code of here. But normally what happens, no? If you observe any kind of programming, this is not going to be executed. Okay. But how to normally we have some concepts over here. So for that, what we should do, let's take an example. I want to write the same piece of code in Java also. So I can say sample demo dot Java. Maybe I don't have Java compiler, right? Okay. Sorry. I don't have Java compiler. No problem. We'll go like this. But see, so if you get this kind of errors, no, for that we can use some kind of block of statements we are going to use here. Okay. So for that, okay, let's see here. Let's see here. I can use till symbol. I can use till symbol. Now if I run the application. Oh, yes, exactly. Sorry, ma'am. Sorry. 10 by A by not A by B. You can use here what, ma'am? Till symbol. Till by like this. So if you want to execute in Dart programming, if you want to execute what we can say the division, right? You can execute the division like this. So see, so if you observe here, statement 1 is executed successfully, statement 2 success, statement 3 success, and the value of A is also executed successfully, B is also successfully. But when the logic comes here, A by B, 10 by 0, if the 10 by 0 is nothing, right? You see here, unhandled exception. What is that? Unhandled exception, integer division by 0 exception, right? So see, automatically, what about the remaining statements? The remaining statements is not executing because we are not handle this exception. Guys, clear? No? Anyone having any queries here? I sorry that you can use this till symbol. This till symbol is slash. Guys, anyone having any queries? Okay. So, Amar, you have a question?
No, actually.
Okay. So, I want to handle this properly. That means I want to handle this one properly. How to handle this? My requirement is the problem happened only in this case. What about these statements? I need to execute happily without any problem. If the problem happens here, let it be no. Then why it is not going, why I need to execute, I didn't execute this. I need to execute this one, right? So to overcome this problem, okay, in Dart programming, we have a concept called what? Exception handling. Exception handling. So in exception handling, so we have some kind of blocks. The first one is try block. Second one is catch block. Third one is on block. And last one is finally block. Okay. Try block, catch block, on block, and finally block. This on block is newly introduced on Dart. Okay. Now let's see how this try block will work. Okay. The try block, the try block, okay, contains the code. Try block contains the code that may throw an exception, that may throw an exception if any expression, if any expression occurs, if any exception occurs, it's called the catch block or on block, catch block or on block. Okay, that means you wrote some piece of code in try block. Let's say whatever the code we wrote here, no, we wrote this entire code in try block. So how to do this? Very simple. You can use try like this. Okay. What I'm trying to do, whatever the code I wrote, no, everything I'll just cut it and I'll go and write in this block. If there is any exception happen, if there in this program, if there is any error happen, automatically there is one block we have to write, that is catch block. That is catch block. So here you have to where whatever the exception happen, no, this exception, right? This is going to be executed in the catch block. Okay, how to do that? I'll explain that. Now, what is catch block? Now, what is catch block? So, the catch block is used to handle the exception, dot allows you to handle the exceptions in two ways. Exception in two ways. Okay, this is new concept, remember here. So catch block is used to handle the exception, but dot allows you to handle the exception in two ways. One is with a single parameter to access the exception object. The single parameter to access the exception object, and with two parameters. With two parameters, we can handle the exception where the first one is guys mute itself, please. Munikrishna garu mute button. Sorry. Yeah. So where the first is the exception, and second one is the stack trace. We'll discuss what is the stack trace and all these things. Okay. Now there is another block, that is on block. The on block is used to specify the type of exception. Like we can call it as some kind of predefined exceptions, like number format exception, array out of bound exception. Like I will discuss that. So some type of exceptions to catch. Okay, it's useful when you want to handle specific exceptions, differently. Okay, and the last one, important one, is finally. The finally block contains some important piece of code that will be executed regardless of whether an exception occurs or not. So it is typically It is typically, okay, used for cleanup activities. Use it for cleanup activities. Like if you create 1 dB, just let's take an example. You create 1 dB in Flutter. You run the application. Suddenly, the program crashes. What you should do? You need to close the DB, right? That means those type of activities, like closing the activity or closing the file, right? Those type of activities we can able to perform in the finally block. Okay, so try, catch, on, and finally. So how to handle all the things we can see with the help of one program. Okay, now already we continued here, right? We wrote some piece of code. We wrote some piece of code. Okay, you aware of this one, right? I don't want to write remaining statements here. So it kind of, this is lengthy program. So what I should do here is I'm going to remove it off. Okay, now here you can write one for exception, one for stack trace, right? Like this, E comma S. So we have one more thing, right? Okay, let's go with this thing. Let's remove it off. Okay, so we found one issue in this 15th or 16th line of code. I want to write one exception, that is on. Okay, what kind of exception it is, Amma? See, integer division by 0 exception. See here, integer division by 0 exception, right? Same thing I copied and paste here. This is what we are going to call as a predefined exception, Amma. Like, see, number format exception, array out of bound exception, right? Like that, some of exceptions are there. So here I'm going to write one statement, that is print. So I can say like this, cannot divide, cannot divide by 0, cannot divide by 0. This is what I want to write here. Okay, these are on block, no, on block. I'm writing in on block. After that, I can execute the catch block. After that, I can execute the catch block, E comma S. So E means exception, S means stack trace. Now I can see print. Now I can see print here. Now I can say an error occurred. So I want to print that exception also, right? Simple E. Now again, print. Here I can say stack trace. Yes. Now you print that, yes. Okay. And finally, what I should do, I want to execute finally block. There I can write whatever the statements I want to execute. No, just cut it here. And I want to paste it in finally block. That means irrespective of my error, I don't want to wait. If the error happens, fine. I don't want to stop my program. I need to execute this one at any cost. I want to execute these two statements at any cost. So in that case, I wrote these things into finally block. Okay. Now if you run the application, and you can see the output here. Just clear this one, clear the console. Now if you run the application here, oh sorry, semicolon is missing there. Okay. See here, ma. So statement 1, statement 2, statement 3 is printing, and value B, value is printing, and see here. Now you can see cannot divided by 0. That means this is executed. Okay. On division by 0 is executed. After that, so we don't require. Why? Because we already mentioned here on block, no, the cache flow cannot go into work, and automatically the statement 4 and 5 is executed. Now I can see, now I'm removing it off. Yes, I'm removing it off. Now if I run the application, and you can see here, what happened? So 1 and 2 and all the things is executed, and see, error occurred, no? See, what is it? Error occurred. I'm printing the e-message. What is the exception here, ma? See, integer division by 0, so and so. And what is the stack trace, ma? You can able to trace your code. That means in which line of code the error happens. Okay, in which line of code, from which line of code to which line of code the error happens. That is from 11 to 13. From 11 to 13. Okay, so the error is happened for you, right? So like that, it is going to track your entire code. That is what we're going to call as what stack trace, right? Like this, you can able to handle. If you wrote on exception, see, if you wrote on exception, this will not going to execute automatically. This is going to taken care by. If you not mention here, then you can see exception and what else here. So any queries here? Guys, any queries?
No, actually.
Okay. Now, now, the next one is, you can see like this also. We have one more exception called custom exceptions. What is that? Custom exceptions. See, normally, if you guys went to ATM centers, right, where you can able to withdraw the amount, okay? So in your account, whatever the debit card you pick, right, in that account, the amount will be only 100 rupees. You're trying to get the amount of 200. Automatic in the screen, automatically you can see a one message called insufficient balance. What is that? Insufficient funds or insufficient balance kind of thing. See, that means the system is generating one message where if anything happened wrongly, if anything happened wrongly, that means you're trying to withdraw 200 amount from ATM, but in your account it is having only 100 rupees. You're trying to get 200. Automatically you are getting one message that so amount funds is not there, like that. That means there's an abnormal situation, right? I want to write that kind of message. I want to that kind of message. Okay. So for that, how we can do that? How we can do that? Now see, now I'm doing everything over here. So now let's remove this piece of code. Okay. Let's don't remove this piece of code. Just commented this piece of code. Okay. So here I'm going to write a program. Already we wrote main function, right? So here what I should do here is out of main, I'm going to create one class. The classes. I'm going to write one thing called okay, what we can say, something kind of my own exception. You can write any name here. I'm creating one class called my own exception. I'm going to implement this is an exception. Okay, implements exception. See, implements is exception is interface. Okay, so interface contains only abstract methods. Okay, like that. So here I'm using, here I'm in this class, I'm defining one error message kind of thing. Now you can use like this. So here I can say this is my custom exception. This is my custom exception. Okay. Now in the main method, I'm going to write like this. That is try. Okay. Catch. You can call it as E like this. Print. That is, we can call it a simple E dot E dot E dot error message. E dot error message kind of thing. Okay. Now in the try block, if suppose any error happens, simply you can able to throw that. Throw what exception? My own exception kind of thing. My own exception kind of thing. Right? Now if you run the application and you can see the output. See here. So we are throwing an exception, right? Now you can see my throw exception. Now you can see you are printing some kind of exception, right? What is that? Instance of my exception is error dot message. Like this. Plus my own exception. This is the problem here. Okay. Okay, we'll discuss this thing in directly into the Flutter. So this VS code is not working properly for things over there. No problem. So this is about the concept of exception handling, but make sure that this is very important. Whatever the code I wrote here, no, this is very, very important. So you guys can practice on this part, okay? So that it will works for you. for sure. Remove this thing. So we'll explain that. We'll explain this custom exceptions directly in the Flutter itself. Okay, like that. Now, already we worked on what we can say this thing, right? What is that? What we can say list set and map, right? So today we are going to discuss more on list. Okay, today we're going to discuss more on list part. So what is that list part and all? We can discuss this. I'm creating one thing. So I'm using collections demo dot dot. Okay, collections demo dot kind of thing, right? So here I'm using that we can use here void main kind of thing. So here, if you define in Dart programming, if you define any data in the list, okay, you can use list of, we can specify the in type. So the parameter type is very important, and you can use numbers like this. I can call it as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, like this. So this is a way we are going to define the list in uh, Dart programming, and I'm printing that numbers over here. Simple directory, I'm printing the numbers over here. Now run the application. You can see the output here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Like this. In the same way, I want to print the string values in the list itself. So I can call it as list. So I can use here string. We can use here what? String. And I'm defining what? Names. Okay, equals to, right? So we can use list.empty. So I want to make this one as a global value true. That means global means I can able to add multiple things over here. For that, I can use names.add. There is one function called add. So here you can add your names. Like let's take an example, money. Right? Names.add. Let's take an example, Shiva. Right? Names.add. Let's take an example, Charvi. Right? Like this. So like this, you can able to add your names, and finally you can print those names called, you can call it as what? Simple names here. Right? So this is very important. List.empty, you can define global value true. Why? Because if you define like this, no, there may be a chance to get exception. To overcome that, we are using like this. Now you can see money, Shiva, and Charlie, whatever you wrote, right? Like this. And in this list, we have some set of things over here. Like we have function called add, we have function called insert, we have function called remove, we have one function called remove at, some functions called contains, some functions called for each, right? Like this, we have some set of functions over there. If you want to add any new item into the list, okay, if you want to add any new item in the list, you can use add item into list. I mean, add new item into list. Okay, like this. So here, insert means I want to insert, an item at a specific index, Remember the point. Add means you can add the item like this. See, you can add the item like this. Like I want to add one more item, you can simply use names dot add off. We can use here Muni Krishna, right? Like this. We can add it like this, but I want to insert one value based on the index, right? that will execute, that will show you practically so that you can understand easily. Okay. Now that is what we're going to call as index. And if you want to remove, any item by value, we can use here what? Remove an item by value. An item by value. Remove a same thing based on index. Remove an item. Remove an item by based on index value. Contains, right? Check if a list contains a specific element or not. You have to check that condition, right? And finally, for each means what? Iterate through the list items. Iterate through the list items, kind of. Okay. Now already in this program, you added 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? So what I'm trying to do here is numbers dot add of. I want to add sixth value. Numbers dot insert of. I want to add in zeroth index with zeroth value. So I want to add the value called also 0. Okay, that means in zeroth index, I want to insert value called 0. And numbers dot remove at second index. I want to remove that second index value, right? Like that. And we can use remove 2 and remove at 1, first position, right? If you want to display the output, you can display the output. Just cut it like this. Now, if you execute this program, now you can see the output here. See, 0. Okay. That means, see, first one is I added new element called 6. And in 0th position, I added 0, right? Remove. I'm removing second value, and I'm removing first index. First index means 1, right? So it is going to display over here. So if you want to see the output here, now let's comment it off. Just put everything here, comment it off. Okay, like this is only 2 things I want to execute, right? Let's see and execute and show the output here. Now you can see if I execute these 2, what happens? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? Like this. So I want to copy this thing. First, let me print here. Let me print here. Let me print here. Let me print here. Now, if you run the application, you can see the clear-cut output over here. See, first it is printing all 6, and in second one it is adding 0th index, and third one it is removing second value and second index, kind of thing, right? So you can do like this whenever you want to work on that part, kind of. Okay. So this is about this thing. And the last one is I want to display in the for each concept. So for that we can use here simple directly. We can use numbers dot for each. Numbers dot for each. We can use num. I mean any keyword you can use here, and you can use like this and print num. That, see, I'm all from this iterating everything, and it's stored in num. That value I'm going to print over here. Now, if you run the application, you can see the output. Okay, it is not going to work here. Now use instead of this, cut here, and you can use. Yes. Now if you run the application, again, see the output. Array, what happened? Numbers to teach is not working. Query is not working here. Okay, I told right, there is some problem with these things. Fine, no problem. Let's execute this thing also. Okay, fine, ma. So we will execute whatever is not working in the see, the code is correct. The code is correct, but the problem with the VS code, not with the Dart programming. The code is correct, but it is not going to work here. We'll see. We'll see that thing in what we can say like this, and let's focus on this part. I can call it as for each. Okay, we can focus that thing in there. We can use numbers in. We can use in numbers. We can use. Let's try with these things. See, that means that this is not working. Maybe it is not going to work here, but fine. See, we'll discuss these things in Flutter directly, so that we can able to see those kind of things are there now. Okay, so these about the Dart programming concepts. Okay, by this we complete that the entire Dart programming concepts. So you can go and practice all the things. Okay, from tomorrow onwards, we are going to start. Flutter applications. Okay, so we can go on in detail. Okay, so we can go on in detail, work on that Flutter, and so that we can plan accordingly. Okay, thank you so much. If you having any queries, you can ask me.
Sir, that installation part, can I get some help today?
Today, then I don't know what is the problem in that. Okay. No, we'll do one thing, ma'am. Do one thing. We can connect by around. We can connect by around 10 o'clock is fine for you.
Okay, sir, no problem.
Why? Because today I'm having office. So by
Okay.
11 o'clock, I'm having Scrum meeting. Okay, so
Okay,
we can connect by around 10 o'clock. So we can see the output over here. Okay.
Okay, sir.
I'll share a Zoom link to you, ma'am. I'll share a Zoom link to you. And one more thing, ma'am. And one more thing, before joining, before joining that thing, I need you to I need you to uninstall the Android Studio, ma'am. Fully.
Okay.
From
Fully.
your
Okay.
from your system also, you have to uninstall everything. Just check.
Okay.
In C, go to the C programs and control panel, uninstall that. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
And make it clear everything, and don't delete download file. Download
Okay.
file, put it like that, and remaining everything you can clear it off. Then we can see all the output. Okay.
Okay. Even Flutter I will clear.
Yeah, everything you can delete
Okay.
off. No problem.
Okay.
I'll connect with you. Okay.
Okay, sir. Fine.
Okay. Thanks, man.
Thank you, sir.
Have a nice day, guys. Bye.
Thank you.